You may think Allis-Chalmers is nothing but an old tractor brand from history, but that's not true. And this brand changed farming forever with one huge idea. It all started back in 1910 when Allis-Chalmers introduced the first tractor with rubber tires, which sounds very basic now. But before this, every single farm implement was pulled by animals or had steel wheels. This made it so that you had to have a big, strong team of horses just to pull a plow, and you couldn't go very fast. But with the Allis-Chalmers tractor with rubber tires, farmers could now travel much faster on roads and fields because the rubber tires were much more flexible, allowing them to move faster without damaging the soil. And right around this time, a man named Henry Ford was doing the same thing with his Model T. He put rubber tires on cars instead of those hard, uncomfortable steel rims. And both Ford and Allis-Chalmers sold their products at a reasonable price, making them available to the average person. In the case of Allis-Chalmers, they became known as the Ford of tractors. But Allis-Chalmers didn't stop there. They went on to pioneer many other ideas that changed farming forever. Like number 2 in the 1930s, Allis-Chalmers began focusing on smaller tractors at a time when most other companies were only making large, expensive models. This made it so that more small farmers could afford to own a tractor. In fact, Allis-Chalmers sold over 500,000 tractors during this decade alone. In addition to that, they also introduced lighter, cheaper plows that were easier to pull, allowing farmers to do more work faster. Not only that, but Allis-Chalmers was also a leader in developing the combine harvester, which is the machine that farmers use to pick up, clean, and store grain all in one go. Before this, it took several people 2 weeks to harvest an entire field of grain by hand, but with a machine, it could be done in a matter of hours. And Allis-Chalmers introduced lighter, more practical models that were easier for farmers to afford and maintain. For example, the Model 808 was the first combine that had a pickup header that was lowered by hydraulics. It also had the first 8-row header, allowing farmers to harvest much faster. But perhaps the most famous innovation by Allis-Chalmers was the introduction of the first diesel engine on a tractor. Yes, most tractors today run on diesel, but before Allis-Chalmers, they were all gasoline, and switching to diesel allowed tractors to produce more power while burning less fuel. Now, even though Allis-Chalmers invented so many things that we take for granted today, unfortunately, by the 1980s, they were bought out by a large corporation called AGCO, and they stopped producing tractors altogether. But the impact that they left on the farming industry will never be forgotten. And even today, many farmers are still using an old Allis-Chalmers tractor on their farm or even a combine because they're so well built that they last forever. I mean, look at this one. It's 70 years old and it still works great. Speaking of that, what's your favorite Allis-Chalmers model? Let me know in the comments. I'm the host of this channel. If you like old tractors, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.